Stefan Aarnio just might be one of the most interesting men I have ever met. He is bold in his opinions and his viewpoints can be slightly offensive, so just get ready because he can be kind of inappropriate. This is actually the second time we did a podcast episode. The first one, I forgot to hit the record button. He was kind enough to come back. And this time we are talking about negotiation. Stefan is a master at negotiation and closing deals. He actually wrote a book on negotiation along with 8 other books that he's written. The one he's most well known for is Hard Times, Strong Men, which we actually refer to quite a bit in this episode. Stefan became a self-made millionaire at 28 years old. He started with only $1,200 in his bank account, and now he's turned that into a multi-million-dollar portfolio for himself and his partners. Stefan is an award-winning real estate investor, entrepreneur, and author, and winner of the 2014 Rich Dad International Hall of Fame Award. He's been named by Entrepreneur.com as one of the top 10 real estate influencers to follow, and he is the #1 real estate coach in Canada. This guy knows what he's talking about, so pay attention and take a lot of notes. And without further ado, let's meet Stefan Aarnio. Stefan.
Ashley,
would you consider yourself a negotiation master?
Oh, well, that's a trick
Can you
question.
get anything you want? Because that's what we want, right? We want to get anything we want.
Because good negotiators know that, well, they don't think that they're very good. So scientifically, it's been proven in studies, the better negotiator you think you are, the worse you actually are. So it's one of those things, like the really good negotiators don't think they're good. And if you think you're good at negotiating, then that means you're bad at negotiating.
What about confidence?
Well, confidence is key, but in negotiating, you never know what the other side is going to do, and it's unpredictable. It's like chess. You don't know what's going to be on the other side. So if you don't know what's on the other side, you just assume that you don't know what you don't know.
Well, this is true.
So can I get anything I want? I don't know. That's an interesting question.
Well, I have a better question than that, actually.
Better question.
Better question than that is, can these listeners, so the person that's listening to us right now, can they get what they want once they apply your negotiation tactics?
Yeah, I think they can.
I'm so excited to dive right in then. Are you?
You're like, no, I'm so. The body language. You got to watch her body language.
No, I really am so excited.
You're like, hey, last night you're like, hey, did you know when a girl touches her hair, it means she's into you? I'm like, yeah.
Oh, God.
A book on body language.
By the way, if you don't already follow Stefan, you'll see his content. He's got quite a unique personality. Well, you do.
Unique, really?
Very unique. He's very unique. And he's highly offensive.
Oh, my goodness. You introduced me. You introduced me on Instagram as the devil. I was thinking about that today. I was like, if I'm the devil, all I want is what's best for the young men and the young women.
I
I'm
know.
The devil, what does that make you?
A queen, clearly.
A queen. A queen. I like
okay,
our
let's get back on track.
But
so another thing I get to do is reel him in because sometimes he's like shiny object syndrome and like squirrel, So we'll reel him back in.
Okay, reeling it in.
Okay. So why don't you give us, let's go into like the top, like what's the #1 thing you need to know as you're walking into a negotiation?
The #1 thing you need to know. So there's a 4-step process to negotiating.
Perfect.
And the main thing is you got to collect, clutter, and close, the 3 C's. So
What was the second one?
Collect. So collect information.
Okay.
Clutter. So you want to make an offer with a whole bunch of details. You want to challenge everything. And then you want to close in on the items you want. So 3 C's, collect, clutter, and close. But before you get into the 3 C's, you need to prepare. So if you're going to go, let's say you're going to go buy a car, you're going to go buy a house, or you're going to go buy a TV or something like that, you want to do all your research first. So you got to know, what's this thing worth? What are you willing to pay? What are you not willing to give up? When do you want it delivered? So you do all your preparation first. So that's the prep work first. And then what I do is I have a little black book. So little black book over there, I write down everything I want in the book. And when I show up to the negotiation, I have the book and I'm writing in the book, all the things they're saying. Because people change, they change what they say.
You're writing down the things that they are saying.
Yeah.
The things that, so specifically what? You're just writing down what they're wanting?
I'll be like, so what's the deal with this house? What's the story? What's the story with the house? Oh, well, I'm just checking to see what I can get for it. And then you say, well, what's the story? What's the story with this? What's the story with that? What's the story with your dad? Tell me about that. And then they go, oh, I'm in foreclosure. Like, if you keep asking the same question over and over again, you start writing down the answers, you're going to see the first couple times the answer it is not usually the truth. People don't like to show vulnerability. So you want to collect information. And then when you get to a point where you have everything you need, then you make your offer. And that's where you go with your clutter. So you'll make an offer with, you say, this is my price, these are my terms, I want this delivery date. And the job with clutter is to offer more items than they can. So let's say you offer a thing with 10 items. You can say, this is my price, I want it delivered on Tuesday, I want to do it with financing or with cash, I want an inspection, I want my mother to see it, I want my dad to see it, I want you to throw in the free sunglasses with that, I want dinner for 2 in Mexico, I want this. So you could make 10 demands in your offer.
Yeah.
They might come back at you with 2 demands or 3 demands. Well, if you got 10 things and they got 2 things, who's going to win the trade?
No, makes sense.
Probably the person with 10 items, right? So you start trading items, and then it comes out with the close. You close in on what you want. Now, this is the thing. Some of those items weren't real. Some of the items you didn't really want that much, but you fluffed it up with some extra items. And if you look at things like infomercials where they make an offer, they're like, call now and get a second Snuggie and this great book reading light, and we'll double it to $29.99.
Yeah.
They clutter the offer. So you got all these things, and you're like, oh man, this is such a great offer. I have to buy it right now. Or, you know, if you're selling courses or webinars, they'll say you get this and this, and you get this bonus and that bonus, and they'll stack up the value.
Yeah.
And then what ends up happening in negotiation, you start trading, right? You know, car dealerships are like, come in for free hot dogs and pop on Sunday. And you go, oh man, you go in for the free hot dogs and pop, you come out with a new car, a new car loan.
Yeah.
And now you've got yourself a deal, whatever that is. So the person with more things to trade usually wins in the collect, clutter, and close system. And all negotiations follow that. But what people don't do, they don't prepare, so they don't do any research. And then they come in and they don't ask questions, they don't collect, and then they just make some sort of stupid offer that's not very smart, and then they start strong-arming and wrestling to see what they can get, and that's really not the most elegant way to negotiate.
Yeah, and I want to say something about that too, and also what you said before when you talked about the first step, because I just want to like unpack that a little bit. What you're doing is, I feel like you're allowing them to paint their vision. Like you keep asking them all their questions. So like what I call it is evoking, like because you're literally
evoking. That's a fancy word.
Because that's what you're actually doing though. You're evoking from them. Like you're getting, like you said, that first they're not going to share what they actually want because they don't want to be vulnerable. So you have to evoke it out of them. So I just wanted to like I that is literally what I do. So I'm on the right track here, I think, according to your process. That's
the best way to sell. The best way to sell or best way to negotiate is get them talking and then use their own language back. On them. That's the best thing. You're like, so what are you looking for? They're like, I'm looking for a 3-bed, 2-bath. So, 3-bed, 2-bath then. Oh, great. And what else would you like? And let them talk.
Yeah. And so you're repeating back what they feel heard.
Well, here's the thing. So if you go to somebody and you're like, breakfast for $9.99 is a really good deal. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when I say that to you?
Breakfast for $9.99 is a really good deal.
Well, you're probably resisting that, though. Your ego's probably like, is it? Is it really? No, probably not. This guy's bullshitting me, right? That's what the internal dialogue says.
Yeah.
You're like,
start nitpicking
my name's Ashley Hann. Come work with me. I'm such a good deal. And everyone's like, fuck her, bullshit. Yeah, right. That's what the ego says, right?
Okay.
So here's the thing, though. If you say, like, let's say I'm selling you, and you go, wow, that's a good deal. Like, yeah, it is a good deal. Breakfast for $9.99 is a good deal because you said it. Now it's real. So when you create a situation where they say it, now it's real. If they say it, it's real. If you say it, it's hearsay. And that's like some deep like platform selling, some deep webinar stuff. Like that's one way to sell to big rooms is getting them to say the value and getting them to say what they want. And when they say it, it's real.
Yep.
Right.
Makes sense.
Say, oh, well, you really want a convertible, don't you? And you can be like, well, I don't really want a convertible. But if you're like, oh, I want a convertible. Oh, you want a convertible, don't you? Now, look at that. We just built agreement. And so I've got a book called 7 Level Selling, and it's all about going through the levels of agreement. So creating agreement and moving that relationship ahead to the deeper levels of agreement. So if you agree, you move the relationship ahead. If you disagree, the relationship goes back to zero. So like, call me a scumbag pig. Just call me that.
You're a scumbag pig.
I see how you could feel that way, Ashley. And if I was you, I'd probably feel the same way. But if we spend some time together, we'd probably find that we have a lot in common, right?
Sure.
Right? So like, I just validated you. I'm like, yeah, probably.
So I think that's the key. So that's something you're repeating back. What you're doing is you're making sure that they feel heard, and you're putting it into a place where you're both in agreement. Always agreement.
No matter how crazy it gets. Like, watch this. Here, take your hand and push on my hand. So switch your hand. So push on my hand. So this is what people do. They're resisting on each other. Okay, so push hard. Like, push hard. You feel that, right?
Yeah.
But then watch what happens. Now you're off balance. So let's say we're pushing on each other in a negotiation. Well, this is going nowhere, right? Pushing.
Yeah.
But if you push on me and I pull, I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Now you're off balance. So always agree. No matter how crazy it gets, you always agree. And you take out these words, no, but, however. So you never say no, you never say but, and you never say however.
So instead of saying but, you say and.
And.
I love that. I love that.
And.
Yes, and. Yeah, because then you're keeping it in agreement.
That's right. We're always in agreement because I'm pulling you now. Yes, and.
I love that.
You don't find that price to be good? Yes, and. Well, we got this other thing.
Well, what I love about that, and actually this is crazy that you said this, and I just had a call with my girls in my course, and I told them to replace but with yes, and. Because
take out however and take out no as well.
Yeah, however, so
pass your water there?
Yes.
This is the one that you've been drinking out of.
There you go. No, I didn't drink that.
You didn't drink this one?
No.
Okay,
anyways. I told you he was squirrely. Did I not warn you guys he was squirrely? Okay, so what we got in the steps so far is we've got the evoking, aka your word.
We're using their language, collecting.
And then we got clutter, so we're presenting all the things.
The offer, yeah.
And then the third
is close. So you're trading the items you don't want now and taking the items you want. So usually people have one need and 3 wants. So they really, really want one thing. The free sunglasses is interesting. People irrationally want things. So, I built my business in real estate, my fortune in real estate. And like when I'm selling to first-time home buyers, my houses that I'm flipping, the first-time home buyers really want appliances. Do you know why the appliances are really important to first-time home buyers?
Why?
Because they spent all their money on the down payment. They have no more money. So they are squeezing in as hard as they can. And then when they come at you for a discount, I'll counter at a little bit under full price without the appliances. And I'll say, well, no appliances for you. No dishwasher, no stove, no fridge, no microwave, no laundry. And then, of course, if you're a first-time home buyer and you need those appliances, what are you going to say?
Never mind.
But I need the appliances.
Yeah,
right?
like I don't want
I need the appliances,
them,
and I go, that's fine, back to full price. So we just went down and then we went back up because I just took out a whole bunch of value. I'm like, yeah, no problem. If you want a discount, let me start discounting the value. So there's price and there's value. So you can start manipulating with that in the offer stage where you're cluttering, and then the close is where you're now choosing which items are you going to keep and which ones do you want to give away. And usually there's not a lot of resistance because you want different things, right? A seller and a buyer.
Yeah.
Price isn't super important usually. We think it's price. We make it about price. It really isn't. There's terms, there's time, there's delivery. You sell branding
expectations,
services, right? So you're probably selling, leverage. You're selling speed. You're selling, well, do you want to write your own copy or what, right? Someone like me, I hire people like you all the time because I don't want to write my own copy. I don't want to write my own copy. I don't want to dick around with my own website. I don't want to do X, Y, and Z. So here, I'll pay you for the expertise. You go do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. So is there a certain languaging that you use when you are at that point of the close?
Oh man, there's so many closes.
Okay.
There's so many closes. There's so many ways. One thing that's important, I think, with people is to advance the relationship. So like today I was I had a customer on the phone and I was like, look, the next step now is, typically we take a small deposit, we get the contract going, and or you can say the contract or the paperwork. We're going to do the paperwork because contract scares people.
I know. Yeah, that's so
if
true.
If you just endorse the paperwork instead of sign the contract, right? We're going to get started with a small deposit on Visa or MasterCard. It's totally refundable for the next 10 days, but it just consummates a deal. It makes us know that you're serious. Yeah. We're serious, right? And then we're going to do another call next week, and you can do your due diligence and figure out if this is something you really want to do, because I don't want you to rush into this, because someone who rushes in is going to rush out. This is a serious business decision, and we need to decide if this is really for you, right? So we take a small deposit, and we like to put that on Visa or MasterCard. And, there's all sorts of languaging patterns you can use. But you notice my tone changes. I got this really like smooth, syrupy tone.
Well, yeah, I was going to say it feels like, as you were saying that to me, it feels safe. Like it feels, it's a totally different tone than how you had before.
Right, like yesterday we're talking hard times. That was a different tone.
Totally different tone.
Hard times, but
by the way, hard times make strong men.
Hard times create strong men.
Create strong men is Stefan's book. And
are they going to know about that book? Like, did that interview make it at all? Or we lost it all?
No. Hey, I was gonna bring it in at the end of this interview. Okay, I was gonna bring it in.
I think we should do a whole interview of just that book, because that's your audience is gonna like that more than negotiating.
Okay.
Actually.
Okay. Well, let's say
they want it to be spicy.
Well, hey, we could always do round two. I'm down.
Okay, we'll go get food and then we'll come back to round two.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, but first I want to ask this question. Okay. So, by the way, for those of you listening, this isn't just business. So, Steph and I were talking about this. It is not just business that this strategy works. And you know what's funny is I use a very similar strategy as you. It's just it's almost identical.
You express yourself as a Scorpio, so it's pretty savage.
My rising is a Scorpio.
That's right.
Now everyone knows.
Like 10 rings and 10 fingers.
Now everyone knows. And so it does work in other places. AKA, let's talk about dating. How would this negotiation, how can a woman get whatever she wants from a man? Let's just get right to it.
Are we talking about finding a man, or are we talking about, what are we talking about?
Like anything I want, like anything she wants. How do we apply the same? Let's do a scenario, like an example.
Well, give me one.
So like a woman wants, let's just do something simple. A woman really wants a man to take her out on a romantic date. Like she really wants a man to like, and they've been dating for a while, but he hasn't taken her out on like a, where they both get dressed up and she wants that. So like, how would the negotiation skill of like, hey, she goes, hey, I want to go out to dinner. And he goes, okay, cool. Let's go to IHOP.
Oh, IHOP. Does she like pancakes? She likes carbs.
She does the fluffy one, the fluffy pancakes.
She's been gaining weight.
Thanks to him. I'm just kidding. Yeah. Okay, so how can we apply it?
She wants to go out and be romanced, and she wants a nice evening. Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's always about push and pull. It's like, what's he going to get, and what does she get? And that's the big thing, I think, with negotiating is there's power and there's leverage. So what do you have that they want, and what do they have that you want? And there's always a trade, right? So she wants to go out for a nice dinner. She wants to feel like a woman. She wants to be romanced. She wants to dress up. She wants to shave her legs for once. She wants to put on that new lipstick she got. She wants to feel sexy, get picked up in a clean car. And that guy shaved, and he put on some cologne and a clean shirt. And she didn't have to plan it all. Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
Yeah, this is right. I have girls listening being like, hallelujah, yes, that's
like,
me.
Yeah, that's what I want. Well,
okay, that's
really tough. Well, here's the question. What does he want?
Well, he wants to get lucky at the end of the night is what I'm guessing.
Okay, yeah. So he wants sex.
Oh, okay. I think I know where this is going. Well, okay, if we look at the collecting information, I feel like it's that saying, that saying, you guys, from My Big Fat Greek Wedding, it's like, the man may be the head of the house, but the woman is the neck. And she can turn the head whichever way she wants.
I just put that in my new book, The Oracle.
Well, there you go. And it's so good. Right. And it's so true, though. So if we talk about like the collecting information piece would be finding out what it is that he wants.
Well, yeah. So what does he want?
He wants to have fun at the end of the night.
He probably wants a blowjob.
Okay.
Right. All that's you know what? I'm saying that, and that's like tongue in cheek, no pun intended. That's tongue in cheek,
can't
no
with
pun
you.
intended. But seriously, when relationships get kind of boring and the dating stops, that's usually like the blowjob stop too. And then the whole thing is just like it's not it's not fun, it's not a date, it's not spontaneous.
And that's also when the romance can stop too. So it
Yep.
goes both ways. So the romance stops, the blowjob stops.
They take the blowjobs out of the relationship, the whole thing collapses.
Well, can I say something though?
Yeah,
You
please.
take the romance out of the relationship, the blowjob
Well,
stops.
that's the chicken and the egg.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Which comes first?
Yeah, so now we're getting somewhere. Okay, so we found out that dates and romance and blowjobs are equated, right? So
it's an ebb and flow, like a give and take.
Push and pull.
So push and pull. So in this particular situation, what this woman wants and what this man wants. Okay. So then
but here's the hard part, because she doesn't want to nag him. If she nags him,
it's a huge turn
then
off.
It's gonna be no. I mean, here's the thing. I'm not an expert in getting guys to take me out on dates so I can feel pretty, but I imagine it could sound something along the lines of, "Hey, honey, I really want to suck your dick, but I really want to go on a date first. So why don't you take me out on a nice date?"
That would be a blunt way to put it. Okay. I'll tell you my idea.
Tell me your idea.
I think you're going to like this. Guys,
I hope so.
listen up.
Scorpio, tell me.
Ladies, write this down. Men, enjoy it. So write this down, ladies. You ready?
Yeah.
It would really turn me on if we went on this romantic date and we got dressed up. That would just turn me on so much. I mean, come on, would that work?
That's pretty hot, but I don't know if he's smart enough to put that together.
No, I think so. I've heard. I mean, you could be like, it turns me on when you take out the trash. Like, that really turns me on when I see you carrying that bag out there like a big, strong man and throwing that thing.
You have a very obedient dog. I gotta say, your
dog.
dog is very obedient, so you must know what you're doing there. But I think that you're right. Like, whatever, there has to be some sort of reward and some sort of dream. And I think with negotiating with anything, like, people don't want to sell their house. They want security and freedom. They have some sort of value. Like, it's not really, I mean, here's another thing you could do. You could come home and be like, "Honey, I just got this new dress. I want to show it off for you. I want to feel so sexy. Can you put something together so I can wear this dress for you? And maybe it'll end up on the floor in our bedroom tonight." Like,
that's good.
Paint the picture. Like,
that's
paint
good.
Some
and
romance.
Men are very visual, so there you go.
Right. Well, that's exactly, like, we're deaf. We're deaf women. Men fall with their eyes, what they see, and women fall with their ears. So that's why women wear makeup, men tell lies. So that's a big visual thing. Like, "Oh, I bought this." Your mind is blown.
I've never heard that before.
That's a big one.
Wow.
So merchandising, like with dating, a man has to be clever to get a woman. He has to say a bunch of clever shit. It's like, what were you saying to me yesterday? I like witty guys. Well, he's got to be pretty fucking clever to be witty. Mm-hmm. So you got to be witty. You have to have some jokes. You got to make them laugh. That's the thing about funny guys. You're laughing. Whoops, you're naked, right? So you got to be.
The saying is, you can laugh a woman into bed. That's the saying.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, laugh her into bed. So he's got to be clever. He's got to be witty. A man's got to be a good salesman, but a woman's got to be a good marketer. So a woman, she goes, puts on a red dress, stands at a place where men are, and she just has to stand there. And guys will just hit on her. And
magnetic marketing.
Yep, magnetic marketing. You put on those porno shoes that you can't walk in. You put on that red dress. You put on the red lipstick, red nails. Stand there, put your hair up or down or whatever looks good, and you just stand there. And you don't have to be brilliant, and you don't have to say much. And men will come up to you and just start talking to you. It's marketing. So it's marketing versus sales. And he better have some clever shit, because if a guy's coming up to you and he's not very clever, what do you do with that?
That's true.
Right.
And how did we just divert to this?
You started throwing down negotiating on dating.
Well, I know.
Sales and marketing, and
it's true. It all does tie in together.
But it's seriously though. In my seminars, I teach a real estate seminar, and people are like, "How do I get a deal?" And I'm like, "Well, if you want to buy a house at 40 to 60 cents on the dollar, do you try to ask out the girl who already has a boyfriend, or do you ask out the girl who broke up with her boyfriend? Which one do you think's easier?" Right? The girl with a boyfriend, well, that's like going up to a house someone lives in and be like, "Hi, can I buy your house?" Like, "No, I'm living in it." But if you want to get a house for 50 cents on the dollar, you go to the divorce court and meet someone who's getting a divorce, and they're like, fuck her, fuck him, here's the house, here's the keys, we're out, right? So there's a difference in that. And people are always like, how do I get a real estate deal? How do I get a deal? How do I buy it 50 cents the dollar? Death, divorce, and downsizing. You have to go into these situations where shit's getting fucked up. People are getting fucked up. People are crying. People are miserable. Those people are ready to make a transaction.
They're ready to make also a transition.
Right, exactly. And just like dating, I'm like, well, would you ask out a girl who has a boyfriend? Well, you might be able to steal her if you're really clever, but that's way more work than you might have some crazy dude show up at your house or whatever. There's all these problems. That's way more difficult than finding a girl who just broke up with her boyfriend. Mm-hmm. And I say to the men, I'm like, look, man, if you want to date a girl who's a 10, you go pick her out and then you wait till she breaks up with her boyfriend and now you're in. Versus, barking up the wrong tree or trying to take a city with huge walls. Like, what do you want to do? Scale the walls and try to take it over? Go for the one where the gates are open.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. And I feel like if we're going after someone who's unavailable, I think that says a lot about ourselves.
What? Well, here's the thing, though. Let me say this. So I'm arguably a professional negotiator. I'll make an offer on everything. So, like, if there's 100 houses, I'll offer on all 100 houses. Because you know what happens to some of those houses? They have a divorce a month later or 6 months later. They call you back and they go, hey, I know you offered on our house and we weren't interested in them, but we are now.
Oh, so you're keeping yourself top of mind.
Top of mind. So I'll offer on everything. Mm-hmm. And that's, especially in marketing and business, like maybe you're not ready to buy today. I'm still going to keep sending you content. I'm still going to keep offering.
You know what this is reminding me of?
What?
So I just had this. Okay, so with social media, it's like, that's what I was just talking to one of my clients and she's like, well, but I haven't gotten anything yet. I'm like, girl, this is a long game. It's a long game with social media. You're creating connection, you're creating rapport, you're putting yourself top of mind. Yeah. And so if it's not converting right away after like the first month of you doing this, I mean, that's not how it works.
So I got a good one for you. It's like the farmer who plants crops and he looks out the window the next day and goes, I don't see any crops. Must be a scam. Right? I'm going to gong that, actually.
Oh, God.
Damn.
Sorry for those of you listening. So he brought his gong.
You're on my podcast. I keep the gong in the suitcase.
Yeah, this is what he does on his podcast. By the way, you guys should check out Stefan's podcast as well. What's it called?
RespectTheGrindPodcast.com.
Respect the Grind. So he has a gong and he dings it every time. Here we go.
Every time you say something awesome.
Okay.
You're on my podcast now.
Stop it. Okay. So I love it. So, by the way, you said that there was a 3 C's. Was there 4 steps? You said
3 C's. Collect, clutter, close.
Uh-huh.
And then before that, you got to prepare.
Okay, got it. Prepare.
Yeah.
So preparing is doing the research, making sure that you're coming in with a clear intention for the conversation.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. Sometimes when you're negotiating, your thing that you want might change. And your mind is fluid. Like, that's a great thing about negotiating. You don't know your own mind. If you're listening at home, you should write that down. You don't know your own mind. So you might start negotiating on something, and this happens to me all the time. Like, I went to this lady's house to buy her condo for $270,000. It's worth $500,000, and I ended up buying all her furniture too. And I came out and I'm like, why do I have $15,000 of antiques now? And so that was some weird fluid thing where I got in the moment and I got all hot and heavy and excited. Now I own a bunch of antiques, and
are you happy about that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you should come to the mansion sometime. We have them in the mansion. It looks awesome.
Yeah.
But I wasn't planning on spending $15,000 on antiques.
Uh-huh. Well, I think the key point in that is not being so, you're going into it with an intention and you're also flexible at the same time, right? Yeah. Because you're not being rigidly attached to your agenda.
Right. It's fluid. Mm-hmm. And so a negotiation is fluid. Emotions are fluid. Humans are fluid. Mm-hmm. We're all fluid. And our mind is a floating thing. And that's something that you don't really understand until you start actually doing a lot of negotiating. You realize your mind floats, their mind floats. It's these two floating minds. And if you don't write stuff down, like what you actually want, you're going to float away.
Yeah, I've actually been there before. So I get
it.
Oh, me?
You Pisces?
Well, and shut up. Oh, yeah, I know. It is such a Pisces thing.
That is a Pisces thing, yeah.
So something that, and he said this before we hopped on here, you guys, is Stefan said, life is what'd you say about negotiation? You're like, everything in life is
every communication in life is a negotiation. So like a look, if you look at someone, that's a negotiation. Like, and this is another dating one because people like the dating ones. Mm-hmm. If a man walks in a room and let's say he makes eye contact with a woman. If he doesn't approach her in 3 seconds, he's a creep. So he comes in, he looks at you, and then he scurries over to the buffet, and then he looks at you again. You're like, oh, damn, that guy's weird. But if he comes in, he looks at a girl, and he like walks up and says, hey, my name's Jeff, shakes your hand, you're like, oh, it's Jeff. And that's just like, that negotiation's going either left or right.
Yeah.
In like 3 seconds.
Totally. That's so true. And I say life is an enrollment game. I actually learned that from ALA. Shout ALA. But
Alcoholics Anonymous. Al-Anon.
Relax. So anyways, life is an enrollment game. Same thing. So you're either enrolling or you're being enrolled.
Seller be
and
sold.
Everything. Yes, seller be sold. In everything that you do and everything. Even like, for example, I went up to I'm staying at a hotel here in LA, and I was wanting a room upgrade. This is actually a really good negotiation thing too. It's like I always ask, because if you don't ask, you don't know. Yeah. And some people are afraid to ask. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Well, I went up and I asked, and actually, so I'd found out that I already got an upgrade, and he was willing to give me the upgrade of the next room up. And see, the thing is I would have not, if I would have came into that, and the way that I came into it was very like being enrolling, not being salesy, not being pushy, because like you said, when you're pushing, right, we were doing the hand thing.
Resistance.
Yeah, it's a resistance thing. So then you're going to create resistance in the person that you want something from. Right. So
another ego gets involved, and their ego is like, no.
Exactly. So it's not about like, I think a really good way to put that too is expecting. Expecting.
Damn, girl. Damn, expecting expectations.
And this is the same in relationships. If you're walking in expecting the man to know to take you out to dinner.
Well, it's Friday night. It's date night.
Yeah.
You knew that. It's on your calendar.
Mm-hmm. He should have known. That's an expectation versus being enrolling. And first of all, by the way, men don't keep track of that stuff. I've learned.
I don't even know what day it is right now.
Of course you don't.
I don't. Yeah, look at me.
But no, I love it. So I think that, the key takeaway for this is really, remember, life is an enrollment game. Life is everything in life is every conversation is a negotiation. Yep. I love the points that Stefan told you guys to write down. They're super good. I love that 4-step process.
Mm-hmm.
You can apply it to anything. So now you have the steps to get whatever it is that your heart desires.
Let me give you one more. If you forgot everything that Ashley said, everything I said, just remember this: tell the truth and try to help them.
Tell the truth and try to help them.
If you tell the truth and try to help them, you'll do great.
Yeah. Because people can feel that energy too.
And here's the thing about the truth. When you're selling or negotiating, the truth is often uncomfortable. So what I say to people is, you can say any amount of hard truth, like hard closing, for example, mm-hmm. is where you are now creating an uncomfortable moment because you're laying down some hard stuff.
Yeah.
But if you care a lot, if you care about them and they know that you care about them, you can lay down super hard stuff.
Yeah.
I've had guys, I make guys divorce their wives to get in my program sometimes, because I'll be like, oh, I can't come into I can't come into the program. I'm like, well, why not? My wife. And I'll say, does your wife support your dreams? No, she's not your wife then. Is that true or true, right? If your wife is not on board with your stuff, guess what? Is she really your wife? That's a good question. So that's super hard. We're getting super hard.
No, I like it though. So that's one area I agree with what you first said. What I don't agree with is it resulting in divorce. Well,
if you're married to somebody and everything you do, they're trying to stop you, that's probably not your wife. That's probably a bad match. And
there's such thing as doing the work. If both you have two willing parties, there's such thing as doing the work, which I'm a huge believer in. So that's why we won't even go there.
I'm just going super hard though. I'm super hard. Like, I'll tell you that, like, here's another one. I'll be like, oh, if your wife won't let you, that means that you haven't been successful in the past and your wife had to put your balls in a jar because you weren't able to make decisions. And if you were really good at making decisions, like Wayne Gretzky, do you think he has to ask his wife if he can get a new Porsche? Do you think he goes, honey, do you think I can get a new Porsche? Or do you think he just drives it home and he's like, hey, baby, get in. We're going out to Cheesecake Factory or wherever he wants to go. Mm-hmm. Do you think he comes home because he's the great one, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, I'll smash some of those objections. Like, dude, come on, man. What do you mean you got to ask your wife? Or, like, if you were really successful, you wouldn't have to ask that.
Well, what I think the behind all of that is absolutely, if you don't care and if you're not aligned to what you're enrolling them into, so whatever you're selling, if you're not like fully backing that, you're not going to create confidence in the other person, and they're going to feel that. That's the way that I've experienced. So if I show up to a negotiation and I don't even believe in, I'm going to use my example of, you guys know I have, like, I'm in the branding space, right? So I show up and I don't believe in what I'm not enrolled in my program, then I'm not going to be able to sell it.
Now you're unethical.
Yeah, it's exactly out of alignment.
You haven't bought your own thing.
Exactly.
Well, you're unethical now because you're selling some shit you wouldn't do yourself.
Exactly. But that's important because I know there's people listening now who have trouble pricing themselves because they haven't fully enrolled themselves in their value.
Well, this is the easy thing. So I say this to people. Like, I was talking to people at my event on the weekend. I was like, if you're a poverty mindset and you're a poverty person, you either go do a big tithe to a church, like you go give a big amount of money to a church, that'll get you out of your poverty pretty quick, or you go throw down on a big education program. Like I had a guy once and he was like, hey man, I want to sell high ticket. I'm like, okay, you want to be high ticket? I'm like, my program's $50,000. And he's like, oh, well, he starts wiggling. And I'm like, bro, how are you going to sell high ticket if you never bought high ticket?
So true.
How are you going to sell a vacuum if you don't own a motherfucking vacuum? How are you going to sell insurance if you don't have insurance?
Mm-hmm. How do you expect someone to invest in you if you won't invest in yourself?
Oh. Girl, you got like 3 gongs
wait.
today.
I have to bring up this thing now that the gong has struck.
It's pretty exciting, isn't it?
It is actually.
Your eyes are watering.
It creates some, because it hurts my ears.
It hurts your ears. You're Asian though.
Remember, women are the ears. Women are the ears. Okay, you don't hear it. You're deaf. Now, anyways, so you guys, this is something I want to bring up just because you guys know that I do this is so off topic, just so you're aware, but I just have to talk about this for the end of the episode.
Okay.
You guys know I do my intermittent fasting. You know where this is going. I do my intermittent fasting twice a week. I do my intermittent fasting twice a week. I'm a huge believer in fasting. Now, before we end this episode, you guys have got to know this incredible story about Stefan. And seriously, like when he said this story to me, I got chills. So can you tell the story of the doctor, the everything, the fasting, the jungle? Give it to us.
Give it to you. So last December, my doctor said I'd be dead. I had cancer. And she said I'd be dead in 2 weeks if I didn't go on chemotherapy right away. And I had a jungle fast booked where I was going to go fast for 40 days. And I said, no, I'm going to the jungle anyways. And she was like, if you go to the jungle, you're going to be dead. You're not coming back. And I was like, fine, I'm going anyways. So it was like a pretty big game of poker, right? Like it was like all in, all in. She was all in, I was all in. And I went to the jungle. I fasted for 40 days. So I didn't eat anything, just water, no supplements, no nothing.
For 40 days, you guys.
40 days. That's Jesus style. So like Jesus did that. Buddha did.
I mean, 24 hours is super tough for me. So
well, the first like 3 days of a fast is hard.
Oh, and then what happens?
So first 3 days you're eating the sugar in your intestines and your liver.
Okay.
And then after that you start eating muscle for like 2 days, and then you switch to ketosis and fat. And your breath turns into this like shit alcohol taste. It's like rubbing alcohol mixed with poo. And you're kind of like, because your own intestine, you're tasting your own shit. And so you're in the jungle and you got these fumes coming out of you and your body's eating its own fat.
Yeah.
So I lost like 1.5 pounds a day. So you can do the math, like 65 pounds I lost.
Wow.
And on day 43, I found God. Like I was in 7 layers of hell under what I thought rock bottom was. And it was either go to the mental institution or boom, the lights are on and you found God. And for me, thank God, the lights came on and I totally changed how I thought about things. And I experienced ego death where my ego collapsed. It imploded. It died in that moment. It took 43 days of beatings in the jungle for my ego to just completely fold.
Wow.
And after that, I mean, I completely changed my view of the world, my model. It's interesting when you have your ego die, you do things differently. It's not about you anymore. And, we can go deep on this, but, the ego, your own ego is your pride. And it is what I think the ego is Satan. It is Satan living in your own brain. It's your ego thinking that you have all the answers, whereas God is your ideal, and it's outside. It's living in harmony with nature and living in harmony with what is and how things are versus your own ego trying to bend the world all the time to your will. You can do a certain amount of bending, like really you can with intention and things.
Yeah.
You can do a certain amount of bending of reality. But I guess I painted myself into a corner and I had to go and do that. And when I came out of the jungle, my colon cancer was gone. They scanned me. It was all clear. I took vitamin B17. That's what you saw in the bathroom there. The needles, vitamin B17. It's banned in Canada and the U.S. And
because it works.
It's been around since 1950, and it works. And Sloan Kettering has done trials with it. It worked, and they had to ban it.
They ban it in the U.S. as well.
Yeah. Oh, it's banned. So
wow.
You got to be like a drug smuggler to get your B17.
So you're a drug smuggler, is what you're telling us.
I'm a bad guy. Like
I'm a bad guy.
I'm a bad guy. Yeah, that's right. Might seduce your dad type.
So you know what I love the most about this? The whole story. The whole thing's incredible. The whole thing gives me chills. What I love the most is the first part where you were told something. You were told that was it for you. That was it. I mean, those are words that, arguably the scariest words a person might hear. The words they may fear to hear the most.
That's it.
That's what I'm saying.
That's pretty much
so
it.
imagine listen, those of you listening right now, imagine being told those words and being in that state. And then choosing, because what was your thought right there? When you chose to go to the jungle, you were thinking, well, I think I've heard you say this before. You were thinking, well, if I'm gonna
die on my terms, I don't know. What were you gonna think?
That sounds like you.
Yeah, well, that's what I wrote in my new book, Hard Times 2. So that's Hard Times 2.
Okay.
It just came into print this week.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was like this is it. What's a guy gonna do at that point?
And you were like, no chemo.
No. I think chemo is the devil. Like, there's people out there who win on chemo, but it's not very often, and it's at a great cost. Like, your body gets completely smashed.
Yeah.
And usually what happens to people is their cells all get smashed, and then they have to lie there and die of pneumonia or some other thing, right? So
yeah,
I'm like I read all the documents on it, and they're gonna give you a breast pump. They put it like right here, like in your skin, like right over your heart, so they can pump it right into your heart, and it's pretty much mustard gas. So I did a lot of research on it. I read a great book called World Without Cancer by G. Edward Griffin. And G. Edward Griffin wrote The Creature from Jekyll Island, just all about the money system and how the money system is a big scam. The people who made the money system a scam also created the cancer system. So when you look at that, and you look at B17, and you look at, there's so many guys who've cured cancer in history. There's so many. Max Gerson did it. Huxley did it. Dr.
You did
Krebs
it.
did it. Well, these are scientists who cured it. I'm just a motherfucker who was a lab rat on himself, and I was doing my own experimenting. And, I've won for now. That's what I have to say. I've won. But
you've won.
Yeah, for now. You always got to say for now, because life, like, you're going to die at some point for sure.
Well,
right?
yeah, but that's like tremendous. That is tremendous.
Take some big balls.
Well, big. Like, that's a strong man. Going out, like, seriously, then going out and venturing the jungle and not eating for 40 days. But what you did there, and that's this is like next level. But just for me, and when I fast, like, I've literally, I remember just feeling this, like I was coming down with something, right? Like really bad. And then I fasted and it freaking went away. For real. I'm like a huge believer.
We can talk about that a little bit. So there's a book you can read, The Mucusless Diet by Arnold Ehret. And what happens is,
we'll put that in the show notes for you guys.
Yeah, put that, and then put a World Without Cancer by G. Edward, and then put in Hard Times, Create Strong Man.
Of course,
that goes.
Got it. Keep going.
So mucus in your body is what holds diseases and bugs and things like that. So I had a guy on my team. He was sick, and he sounded like this. He was kind of groggy, and I said, "Look, dude, fast until that goes away. So number one, you'll probably knock it out in like a day. Mm-hmm. If you want a cheat code, go do an enema, like a water enema, a $10 enema bag. Go blow that out, because what happens is, if your sinuses are full, it's because your colon's full of mucus, everything else is full of mucus, and your sinuses are last. So if you blow out the base of the stack, all the mucus is going to flow out. So I said, go do an enema, dude. you'll be done in one day. And then you could hit some lemons,
Mm-hmm.
hit some water with that, and you'll be done. Like, you will not be sick.
Yeah. And what happened?
Well, that's just how you do it. Like,
So did he do it and it worked?
well, yeah, I mean, he didn't do it, but I used to do that all the time.
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So like that's a powerful thing, because it's amazing. Your colon is actually the base of health in your body. So like that thing, that 6 feet of organs, that snake, that thing is like when your immune system's messed up, or your probiotics or prebiotics or any of that. When that thing is messed up, you're going to be messed up.
Yeah. Wow. That's super interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Or you do a coffee enema, which will open your liver. So
I've never done either of those things, and now
coffee enema, it's wild. Like you actually kind of feel high, because the coffee makes the bile ducts open in your liver, and then all the toxins from your liver dump out. So like Max Gerson.
Is this painful?
No, it's not painful
okay.
at all. So Max Gerson, he cured cancer in the 30s, and he was exiled from America. So you can go down to Mexico and do Gerson therapy, but he's exiled from America, and his daughter Charlotte Gerson just died. So they cure cancer all the time, and what they do is they juice every hour on the hour carrots, apples, beets, whatever, and they load you with nutrients, and then they do a coffee enema, open your liver, and flush it. So they overload your liver with nutrients, and then they flush all the toxins out, and they keep doing that. And what happens is your liver cleans your whole body.
Wow, I want to do this.
Gerson therapy. Yeah, you can
Gerson therapy. Wow, there's a lot of like awesome resources you're giving us today. I love it.
I've written 8 books, girl.
Yeah. He has written 8 books. So I'm gonna put in. I'll just put in all of them. But here's the thing: there's one that he has on negotiation. I know it's what we opened up with, and then the other one that's super interesting that I really, really want to read is based on our talk yesterday. And I know it sounds like it's for just men, but it's not for just men. It's actually great for women to read as well.
Yeah, you have to know what a man is.
Yeah. It's the hard times create strong.
And then you got to read the Oracle, which is the women hard times.
Yep. Yeah, this guy's a beast. Just so you know.
Round 2.
Just
Let's do round 2
yeah, we will.
today.
Just so you know, he has one of the books he wrote in 11 days. Is that right?
Hard Times I wrote in 11 days.
And it's not, by the way, guys, it is not like a thin one of those thin books. It's like how many pages is that book?
624.
Wow. Yeah, and it's doing really well. So I'll put all the
Ashley likes thick books. Books she can barely fit in her hand. It's so big.
Oh my God, you guys. This is what I've been dealing with. I told you he was slightly offensive.
Oh my God.
AKA very offensive.
Oh, you love the attention.
But
you love the attention.
It's hilarious. I don't get offended. By the way, guys, that's one thing. Maybe some people may get offended by you. I'm sure it happens from time to time, without a doubt.
Like 2
I don't
listening to this.
I don't. Yeah. They're fuming right now.
Send you about what?
Well, that's the thing.
We didn't even talk about anything today.
My point. I just said this today, and we're gonna end this episode because we're almost done. But I want to. I want to say something real quick. If someone came up to you and were like, "You are a blue frog," what would you be like? What would you do?
Yes, and tell me more.
AKA, it wouldn't even you'd be like, okay,
well,
awesome.
I mean, that's one way. Another thing you say is like, look, whatever you see in me is what you see in yourself.
You're a blue frog.
It's a mirror.
My point in saying that is, if someone were to call you that, it wouldn't mean much because it doesn't mean much to you. Now, if someone were to look at you and say you're an offensive, selfish bastard. I mean, if you at any point if anywhere in your being, you weren't grounded enough to know that you're not a selfish, whatever I just said, I don't even remember, I just channeled that out.
Right.
Then it wouldn't bug you. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't phase you. But if it triggers you, so AK, if you're listening to this and you got offended by anything that Stefan or I said, it's an opportunity to look within and say, where am I not grounded? Because everyone has their opinions, and I'm a believer that there's, everyone has their own perspective and opinion. There's no right, wrong, good or bad. There's just what's true, what's not true, and what works and what doesn't work.
There is a right and wrong, but we can talk about that some more later.
Okay. There will be a round 2.
We'll talk about
part
ethics.
2. Well, thank you so much, Stefan, for coming on the show today and for sharing all of your jokes and all of your valuable tips. No, honestly, I hope you guys really did write down these steps for negotiation, because what he said is right on. I mean, I'm going to use some of the stuff as well. So thank you.
You're going to get a copy of the book and have the body language section.
Okay. Okay, Stefan. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.